Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Marta Manriquez. I am the coordinator of the Graduate Student Center. This workshop is being hosted by the Graduate Student Center, but it's presented today by two financial aid counselors from the Financial Aid Office at CSUB, Kimber Williams and Tanae McCall.
Hi, everybody. Thanks again for joining us here today. My name is Kim Wellman, and I am the scholarship coordinator and a financial aid advisor here at CSUB. And also joining me is Tanae McCall. She's our senior financial aid advisor. So first of all, congratulations on taking a big step just by being here today to get more information and educate yourself about financial aid for graduate programs. When we talk about graduate programs today, we're going to talk about both credential and masters, as well as we've got information for doctorate students who might be continuing here at CSUB. The first thing is, yes, you can. I hear from students a lot of times, can I do this? Do I want to do this? So the answer to the first question is yes, you can. Do you want to? That's more up to you, but I'm hoping that this presentation will help make you a little more comfortable in your decision going forward. Tanae and I have both been through the master's program here at CSUB, and the staff at the Graduate Student Center, you guys, they are an amazing resource for you. So please use the tools and their expertise to guide you forward as well. Four main things I want to talk about here today are application and testing fees. That's one thing that doesn't get talked about a lot, but it's something that it's really important to help you prepare as you look at going into a graduate program. We'll also talk about published cost versus actual out-of-pocket cost, and what those differences are and why you want to take a look at both. Financial aid tools available to you, and then the actual financial aid process. Okay, so application fees. So once you start thinking that you want to attend graduate school, first thing you want to assess is application fees, because that comes before anything else. You need to be able to apply to get into the program. And those application fees vary. Some campuses, some schools have no fees to get into their graduate programs. Some can be as high as $175 to $200 or even more for some of the more selective schools. Most fees you're going to find fall into the $50 to $85 range. For example, CSUB right now is $70. Plan accordingly. If you're going to want to apply to multiple schools, make sure you have the funds to apply for their application fees. Also, check into your program to know if you need to have testing done ahead of time. Posted are some examples, the GRE, the GMAT, the LSATs, and those are some of the current fees for those exams. Kind of get an idea in your head, how much money do I need for application fees and how much do I need for testing fees? I would encourage you to always contact the schools you're looking at to see if they might have application waivers. They might also be able to give you information on reduced testing fees or waivers as well. For example, I know here at CSUB, we can help guide you to some reduced fees for the GRE if you qualify. And I believe the Graduate Student Center also has information on some testing waivers or reduced fees or supplements like scholarships that they can help you with for those as well. But the most important thing is to estimate and know those costs and budget and plan ahead of time so you're prepared to apply. Posted fees versus actual out-of-pocket cost. Every campus will have posted what their graduate fees will be, and it does vary not only by school or campus, but also by program. Make sure that you look closely at the program you're applying to so that you know what their published fees are. So what's the maximum I can expect to pay. Then you want to look at out-of-pocket. If you've done your FAFSA or DREAM Act application, there might be loans available, there might be grants, there might be other aid available. Private schools, you'll be surprised, their published cost versus what you're paying out of pocket, there can be a huge difference there. Don't get scared off just by looking at the published cost. because in most cases, that's not really what you're looking at paying out of pocket. And those can be misleading and a little intimidating. Always find out what your out-of-pocket cost would be compared to their published costs. This is just an example of cost of attendance expectations or budgets. This is a copy of our CSUB cost of attendance for graduate students. And this was for the 2021 year. When you look at the cost of attendance, and every school should have theirs published, room and board, these are averages or expectations, what you might want to plan on paying. Transportation, again, is an estimate. Personal expenses are an estimate. Books and tuition, or books and supplies, sorry, estimates as well. The tuition, it says estimates there, but that's your out of pocket. Okay, that's what you're going to be required to pay to attend the campus. Whether you're paying it out of your own pocket or loans or grants or scholarships will vary. All of that adds up to a cost of attendance budget, and most schools will have 3 published. One is with parent. So that's an expected, and you'll see that's always the lowest, because usually with parents, you're not paying rent. Well, you might be, but it's not figured into the budget. And then you have on campus, if the school has dorms, that's where those fees are coming from. The off-campus estimates that you see, most campuses do, they'll look at the apartments or the housing situation around them and give you an estimate based off of that. Here at CSUB, off-campus is the highest. It is slightly higher than our on-campus estimates right now. Looking at going to graduate school, why do you want to do it? What's in it for you? How's it going to benefit you in your career? So I posted a couple of resources there on the bottom of this page. For every degree, the differential between getting your bachelor's and your master's can vary. Looking at business administration, average salary starting out after getting your bachelor's is around $57,000. Average after getting your master's goes up quite a bit to $84,000. So it goes up by $27,000. If you look at computer science, it starts out higher with a bachelor's degree, averaging $68,000. And still going up but to $82,000 with a master's. While you'll see the salary climb, the differential isn't quite as much. It's something to keep in mind when you're thinking about the cost of the program. If I do take out loans, is it going to be worth it to me? So this is just an example of some of the things you want to go look at, and look at the market you plan on living in, because it's going to vary by market as well. So know the market you want to live in, the programs you're looking at, the degree difference, and just kind of educate yourself on what you can expect coming out with a master's degree. What realistically will I be making? If I've taken out loans, will I be making enough to pay those back? The first step to actually getting considered for any kind of financial aid, whether it's at a private school, a public school, is doing your FAFSA or DREAM Act application every year. If you will be going into the credential program here at CSUB, doing your FAFSA can be a little tricky because it's not considered a graduate program. It is a 5th year undergraduate. Keep that in mind when you're doing your FAFSA or DREAM Act. The applications for 22-23 opened up October 1st. So they've been open for a couple of months now. The priority deadline here in California is March 2nd. Again, that is a priority deadline. That doesn't mean you can't do your FAFSA afterwards. But if you're not sure yet what program you're looking at, take your best guess and get your FAFSA submitted, because you can still make changes later. But as long as your submitted date is prior to March 2nd, you're considered part of that priority group. Down below on that slide is a link for state-by-state FAFSA deadlines. If you're looking at attending out of state, for New York, for example, you can use that link to find out what the priority deadline might be for another state. Why do priority deadlines matter? Just an example, here at CSUB for graduates, for master's students, there's basically one grant that's available, and it's called the State University Grant. The State University Grant is a limited, what we call limited funds. That means there's only so much money in that bucket. There's more students who are eligible for those funds than there are funds available. The first thing you want to do to try to get yourself in the head of the line for those limited funds is make sure your FAFSA is done by March 2nd. Some different types of aid that might be available to you. So if we take a look at federal aid, student aid programs there on the top. So that federal student aid is aid that would be available no matter where you go to school across the country. As a graduate student or a doctorate student, you can be eligible for up to $20,500 in unsubsidized loans every year. Credential students can still potentially get subsidized loans as long as they haven't met their lifetime limit of up to $5,500 per year. And then independent credential students, meaning for FAFSA purposes that your parents are no longer needed on your FAFSA, you can also get an additional $7,000 in unsub. If you haven't had to take out loans before, quick difference between the two is subsidized loans for the credential program. That means that the government is paying the interest as long as you're attending school. So if you borrow $5,500 at the time you graduate with your credential, you're going to owe $5,500. It doesn't get any bigger. Unsubsidized loans do accrue interest while you're attending school. If you borrow $5,500 in unsubsidized loans, you could owe $6,000 by the time you graduate as that interest is accruing. The repayment for both is the same. It doesn't start until after you stop attending or graduate. If you're in a credential program, you can also still be eligible for Pell Grant. If you have Pell Grant remaining, you can use Pell Grant for up to 6 years if you're eligible. It does work a little differently for the credential program, so if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. Federal Work Study is also available for graduate and credential students. State aid, so if you're staying here in California, some examples with the CSU that you might be eligible for are the State University Grant. That's that limited fund that I talked about earlier. If you're eligible, it's a great grant. It covers up to $71.76 per year. That's $3,588 per semester. So that's a big chunk of the semester tuition. You can also be eligible for the MBA grant for students who are pursuing a master's in business administration here at CSUB. There's an additional per unit fee for the MBA program. So that grant can help cover that per unit fee. There's also graduate equity fellowships, which can range from $500 to $3,000, and that is offered through the Graduate Student Center directly. DREAMAC students can also receive SUG and private loans as well. Grants will vary by state, so just keep in mind if you're going to be attending out of state, most state aid requires state residency, no matter what state you go to. If you're planning on moving out of state, your state aid might be very limited, if there's any at all, if you leave California, unless you are a resident of that state. Scholarships for master's programs, there are so many scholarships out there. It's going to vary by the school you go to, the program you're trying to get into, as well as your major. Here at CSUB, our scholarship portal, I put the link up there. There's over 7,000 external scholarships that are posted in this portal. So that's not even including the ones that CSUB offers directly. This is just outside scholarships. And we just moved to this new scholarship system this year. And I can't tell you guys enough how amazing the system is. Please take the time to log in, answer the questions. The system will guide you. Once you've entered your grade level and your major, it will tell you you could potentially be matched to these scholarships. Answer a few more questions, it'll match you to more. And then it will give you the link to go apply to those. Once you've logged into this system and just started the process and set yourself up, it will also remind you of any deadlines coming up for scholarships. It'll let you know if the application's getting ready to close. It will help remind you to get in there and get those completed. As a scholarship coordinator here at CSUB, I can tell you we see $500,000 to $750,000 a year come in for our students from outside scholarships. Scholarships just like the ones I'm talking about here that you can apply to, okay? And those are scholarships that if you're awarded, you can take that to any school you're going to. They're not just good here at CSUB, they are good anywhere. Then of course, you can also apply for our CSUB scholarships that are here on campus. And there are quite a few available for graduate students. So please get in there and apply. Some will require financial needs, some are merit-based, some are a combination of both. Please don't ever think you won't qualify because we have them out there for everybody. Now we're going to talk a little bit about CSUB specifically. To receive aid here as a graduate student, of course, complete your FAFSA or DREAM Act application. Then watch your My CSUB portal. If we need additional documents or more information from you, we're going to put a checklist on there that takes you to our forms page to tell you what we need. If there's something outstanding that we haven't gotten from you, we cannot package you with aid. And every school will have something similar. So make sure you watch your portal and check your communications. For us, you must be admitted to the campus and then at least conditionally admitted to your program to receive any aid. If you are conditionally admitted to a program and not fully admitted, usually that means because you need to take some prerequisites or meet some other requirements before they admit you. There might be limited aid available. It depends on the program and the situation. So if you're conditionally admitted again, please make sure you do your FAFSA or DREAM Act. Enrollment. To receive any aid at all, you must be enrolled at least half time. So for master's students, that is 3 units. For credential students, it's 6 units, just like it was as an undergraduate, okay? You must be meeting SAP. So while you're working on your bachelor's, the minimum GPA to meet SAP, which is satisfactory academic performance, you needed a 2.0. Stepping up into a master's program, your GPA needs to be at least a 3.0, right? Because you're in the big leagues now. So make sure you keep that GPA above a 3.0. And you must be passing at least 2/3 or 67% of your attempted units. If for some reason you have slipped in one of those categories, you can submit a SAP petition for one-time approval to give you some time to get, usually 1 semester, to get back up to meeting SAP. And then the bottom comment is that for direct deposit, it's not required. We highly recommend you sign up for direct deposit to receive any refund on your financial aid. You get it 2 to 3 weeks faster than if you wait for a check. Always, 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 no matter where you go, if they have direct deposit as an option, you're going to receive your aid much quicker than waiting on a hard check. Whether you are close to graduating, if you've just started CSUB and are here because you just want to find a little more information, CSUB has purchased and provides to you at no cost a great program called iGrad. So the link is csub.igrad.com. Listed there are just an example of some of the tools available. It can help educate you on student loans, your credit score, how to budget, investing. There's career resources. There is so much in this portal. I use it myself for my monthly budget for my household, but there's a lot of educational information about how to manage loans. If you do have to take out student loans, how to manage those and plan for those. I encourage you just log in, check it out, see what it's all about. I will guarantee you there's at least 1 tool in there that will benefit you if you take the time to go take a look. So thank you. There you have our financial aid office phone number and email and webpage. There you have, again, my name is Kim Wellman. I've given you guys my direct email as well. Just by attending today, you are welcome to email me directly if you have any questions, concerns, whether it's today, tomorrow, a year from now. A lot of times financial aid can be a little personal. There's things we might want to talk about in an open group. But if you have a particular situation, a personal situation, questions or concerns that you just want to talk about and get more information, please email me directly.
How do grants work for the teaching program, if you want to answer that, Kimmy?
Sure. So grants for the teaching program, again, it's all based on your FAFSA or DREAM Act. There is state university grant available. There is, if you are eligible, Pell Grant you can still use for the credential program. You must be fully admitted. We cannot offer you any remaining Pell if you're conditionally admitted. So there's also the Teach Grant. There's information on our website about the Teach Grant. If you're looking at the Teach Grant, I really encourage you to read through the details. If you don't meet the requirements to serve, it turns into an unsubsidized loan. So now it's no longer free money. Now you have to pay it back plus interest. If you are conditionally admitted to the credential program, and your FAFSA is done as a credential student, you can still potentially get state university grant and loans, but you would not be eligible for Pell Grant as a conditional admit.
It says, is the Pell Grant a California grant or a federal grant?
Pell Grant is a federal grant, so that is one that you can potentially use out of state as well. But it is not available for master's students, only undergrads and credential.
It says in the next one, do you apply for the Teach Grant or does it show in your awards?
So Teach Grant is application based. You have to apply every year. You can apply for it whether you are an undergrad, a credential, or a master's student, as long as you are in a degree that leads to teaching. It's not awarded until after census date every year. We have to verify that you've met the enrollment requirements and the GPA requirements. If you meet those and you've done the commitment to serve and you have enough need in your budget, it's then awarded after census date every semester.
I would like to apply for my master's in healthcare administration, but I'm afraid that there would not be enough aid available, and there's aid, but from my understanding, there's only teaching credentials or master's in education.
The state university grant is available for any master's programs at CSUB. Again, just get your FAFSA or DREAM Act in as soon as possible. But for the master's program, the state university grant is really the only big grant that we do offer. Besides that, it is unsubsidized loans. So that's one reason, again, I'd really encourage you to get out there on scholarships. There are a lot of scholarships available in health administration, a couple on campus, but there are a lot of them outside of campus. So really encourage you to use our portal, do your own Google search, and go start applying for those scholarships as well.
Are Cal Grants available for graduate school?
Unfortunately, Cal Grants are not available for masters or doctorates at all. If you're a current Cal Grant student and you're going into the credential program, you can apply directly through Cal Grant for a one-year extension on your Cal Grant. Not a lot of whole students know that, but it's a great program and you get another full year and your award actually goes up to cover the difference in tuition costs from going to an undergraduate to a credential program.
Hi, I don't know which university I'll pursue for a master's degree. What do I put down while filling out the FAFSA application?
You can list up to 10 different schools on your FAFSA. I think Tanae, is it still 10?
Yes, yeah, it's still 10.
Okay, thank you. You can list up to 10 schools. And if the school you're going to end up going to is not one of those 10, you can log back into your FAFSA, delete one school that you know you're not going to, and add the school that you will be going to, and then it will be sent to them. But the school won't have access to your FAFSA unless you do add them directly to your FAFSA or DREAM Act application. You won't lose your Pell eligibility by doing your master's first and then coming back to the credential. But I always would encourage you to do the credential first,
right,
and then roll into the master's, just because there is so much more aid available. And aid is, again, very connected to your FAFSA application and your income. So as people start moving up through the educational ladder, they tend to start making more money. So if you do your master's first, you might no longer be eligible for the Pell just based off of income. To maximize, because there is more need-based aid available for the credential program, I would encourage you to go that route. Scholarships, if they're need-based, you can get scholarships that cover your entire cost of attendance. Wow. So we do have some students on campus who receive scholarships. They're $15,000 to $20,000, but we will make sure that you get every dollar of that.
Someone is asking, getting the Cal Grant for credentials, do you have to go directly into the program, or after you receive your bachelor's, can there be a gap between if you start the credential versus after you graduate?
My understanding is you have to go directly from your undergraduate into the credential program, but I would encourage you to go to the Cal Grant website. The FAFSA is for the academic year. So at CSUB, it covers fall through summer. And then, so if you don't start, you would just need to make sure you do the next year's FAFSA. So if you do the 22-23, and let's say you don't start next fall, spring, or summer, you just need to do the 23-24 if you do start. If you're not enrolled, no aid will get paid out. So you don't need to notify FAFSA or do anything that way.
What happens to the money from a scholarship if you do not use it all?
It is sent back to the donor.
And the next question, is there a max for graduate loans?
The maximum you can take out as a graduate every year is $20,500. And there are lifetime limits. So I want to say it's about 125 for graduate students.
Yes, it is.
Kimber, is there a GPA requirement for FAFSA?
During the presentation, we talked a little bit about satisfactory academic progress. For financial aid as a graduate student, your GPA needs to stay above a 3.0 to not be at risk of losing your aid. If your GPA slips for a semester, you can petition. One thing I want to have you kind of keep in mind though, is every graduate program has its own requirements. So while for financial aid purposes, we might say you need to keep a 3.0 to keep your aid, your graduate program might say that you're put on probation at a 3.2. So, and if the program puts you on probation, they can put your financial aid on hold. In general, for financial aid purposes, you need a 3.0 as a graduate student, but also be aware of your program's requirements as you need to meet those as well.
Kimber, I was gonna say, if you were to say, how can I be a competitive applicant for a scholarship? Whole different question, right?
Right, yeah.
Whole different question, because there are some scholarships that do require a certain GPA to, apply. There's other scholarships that they want to see what type of volunteer work you've done or how you have been of service to the community or to the state or the city or your program or your discipline or the campus. Just recently, CSUB's ASI was handing out, well, I wouldn't say handing out, but they had a scholarship for $500. And the question was, what do you bring to your campus? Like, how do you contribute to CSUB in a whole? And I applied and I got it. And I was so flabbergasted that I received this scholarship for $500. And all I said basically in my personal statement was, I'm a graduate advisor, and all I do is help undergraduates and graduate students get into a graduate program and get them and get you all the way to graduation. And that's my passion, blah, blah, blah. I went all into that. I guess they said, well, yeah, I guess she does really do, she contributes. So here you go. We're going to contribute back to you. So when it comes to how to become a competitive applicant in anything, really find your niche. I always tell people to volunteer as much as you can on our Graduate Student Center social media site. For Instagram and Facebook, we are always posting different types of volunteer opportunities for graduate students or even undergrads, right? Even, take that opportunity to go out there and do a campus cleanup once or twice, or go to the food bank, or just, that's another way of getting a scholarship is, kind of showcasing your volunteer and service to the community. Let's say your GPA isn't what they were expecting. Sometimes you never know. Maybe they'll look at all the other great things you have done. So that's just my little input. But Kimber, if you want to add to that.
I will. With scholarship applications too, a lot of people write these beautiful essays that are full of everything they think the scholarship people want to hear. I would tell you just to be you, be honest. Be honest about your challenges and what you've overcome. Sometimes it's really hard to put those on paper and put those out there, but they want to know you, and you want to stand out being you, not who you think they want to see. So like Adrienne was saying, she was surprised she won. She's like, I just put down what I do. But that's what people want to see. They want to get to know you, what you bring to the table, and what your challenges and obstacles have been. So just be honest and open about your situation and what's going on. If you struggled with GPA, talk about that. Talk about why. Put that on paper. Also, what you're doing to make it better. What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? How do you want to make the world a better place?
If it wasn't for attending these workshops, I probably wouldn't have had my year my last year as a MPA student paid for. I'm always telling graduate students to apply, and I wasn't doing it myself. So I just started applying. It's going to take time. You have to write your personal statement. You have to be vulnerable. I can't say the word, but you have to be willing to let others know what you've done, and how far you've gotten and what your dreams are. And I don't know if it's because I'm a creative writer or because my story is amazing on paper. I don't know, but I basically got almost $7,000 in scholarships. I didn't have to take out a loan for my program. So every program is different, right? When it comes to cost. But if you don't apply, then you never know if you're even going, if you're going to get it or not. What's the worst for spending an hour? Maybe a no. What's the best? $1,000 in your bank, right? Or not having to pay for a class. So just do it. Put yourself out there. Be willing to take the time and effort. And Kimber has been amazing, just encouraging when it comes to getting those scholarships to fund your graduate program.
And we have so many resources on campus, myself included, the Graduate Student Center, who are willing to read over your applications, give you feedback. We want to see you get every dollar you can get. We want to see you go on to graduate school. We want to see you make an impact on the community. And we're here to help do that. I mean, that's why we're here. So please don't hesitate to use the resources available. My first piece of advice would be, if you're in that situation where you know you're not going to do well that semester, or you're thinking about withdrawing, is to reach out to us in the financial aid department. We can talk to you about what the impact might be on your financial aid, on your GPA. If you've left the campus and are looking at coming back, if you happen to be academically disqualified and now you're coming back, the same thing, reach out to us. We can look at your particular situation and advise you on from there what your options might be. There are limits, if we can help you get your aid back, if we can help you figure out a way to not do damage to your academic record, we're going to do that. We want you to stay. But we also understand that things do come up. And if you have a rough semester or need to take time off, don't just stop going. Don't get those unauthorized withdrawals. See what your options are to do a withdrawal if you need to, and just educate yourself. I think the biggest thing is to educate yourself on what the impact could be, as well as what your options might be. You'd be surprised how much support and help is out there to help you deal with that emergency and then get back on track. Please don't hesitate to email financial aid or email myself directly if you have any questions that pop up after we're done today, or anything you just weren't comfortable talking about in a group, and we will get you taken care of.